And now I would like to invite our 2010 Teacher of the Year, Michael Aitkenhead.
For those who know the movie Carrie, my bio friends are pretty devious, so I'm still kind of wondering if this is actually a prank. Truth is, I look out here at all the teachers I've come to know in this school and district, and I think of all the amazing contributions that they've made, all their accomplishments, and anything I've done this year, or in my career so far, just really seems to pale in comparison. So if this actually isn't a prank, I honestly, this is the deepest and most amazing honor that I've ever had in my life, simply because I've been chosen amongst such a remarkable group of teachers. I do need to thank my science colleagues who nominated me for Teacher of the Year. Apparently they saw how stretched I've been this year, and I thought that was worth a little bit of recognition, so thank you to you guys. Huge thanks to John Dodig, all the administrators, and to also Dr. Landon, who've been so supportive of different ideas I've had and projects I've tried to do this year. Truth is, though, I've only been a single player amongst a large team of individuals, so I also need to thank some community groups, the Green Village Initiative, the Clean Energy Task Force, and especially the PTA, who's always been there to help me out with some funding or any sort of help I need to get things done. I have to thank my wife Carrie and my son Ethan, again for putting up for my stress levels at home, but also for really pushing me to do that much more this year. And last but not least, I need to thank, of all people, Mike the Mailman. Now, if you don't know Mike the Mailman, he's sort of a celebrity at Penn State where I went to grad school, but I'll never forget when I first arrived, I needed to go get some stamps, so I went down to this small campus post office near the student center, and sure enough, there's a good 20-minute line outside the post office, so that was a bit frustrating. But I waited in line, and when I got inside, it was like no other post office I'd ever seen. And I'll never forget this. The second I walked in the door, I saw at the counter a tall, slender man with white hair, a big smile, and he started ringing a bell very loudly. And I looked above the bell, and there was a huge sign saying, "Nice shoes!" exclamation mark. So I looked down, sure enough, I had my new sneakers that I bought for grad school, and it threw me off a bit. It's kind of embarrassing, but I was like, okay, I took it in. So I got online, waited another 15 minutes, and finally got to the counter. While I'm looking around, though, there's posters all over this post office. There's things like Mike the Mailman's top 10 things to do when you come to the post office, 5 of which were to bring him cookies, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's a very different experience. But I got to the counter, again, just to buy stamps, and he literally took 2 minutes of his time to just talk to me, to welcome me to the campus, to make me feel at home. And the entire time he had the warmest, most inviting smile on his face. Now, when I got to grad school originally, I was very, very nervous. And I just remember leaving thinking, wow, I just stepped out of a post office and I have such a feeling of assurance. It's the best feeling I had to that point arriving at school. Now, I've had many brilliant and influential professors in grad school, excuse me. I learned a lot of facts and figures, but in truth, I barely have any lasting memory of any of those. The one person I'm always going to remember, and who probably taught me the most about life, was actually Mike the Mailman. So my message to you all today should be fairly clear by now. We should all get out of the teaching profession if you want to have a big influence on someone's life and all go into the postal service, right? No, the real lesson he taught me, and the lesson I hope you carry with you, is this. Mike probably had one of the most mundane jobs on the planet. I mean, he sold stamps for a living. But he found a way to make it special, and he found a way to make it fun. And he taught me that it isn't necessarily what you do that matters, it's how you do it. And I've carried that with me into my teaching, and I now realize that it isn't necessarily what I teach my kids, but how I teach it to them. I could probably sit down at home and put together an online class, maybe on Blackboard, where my kids can get all the facts and figures they need to pass the AP exam. I could do that. But I fear my job in those 50 minutes I have each day is to teach them more than the facts and figures. It's to teach them to actually care. If you teach English, for example, you have to believe to the bottom of your soul that the written word is the most powerful tool for changing the world. If you teach, say, history, you must hold true to that understanding that our past follies are the only route to building a better future. Education is inspiration. If you don't honestly believe in the value of what you teach, then neither will your students. I'm the first to admit that I'm no master of pedagogy, and it's probably going to take me a lifetime to become what might be considered a master teacher. But I suppose the reason I've been chosen for this honor is because there's no question that I believe passionately about what I teach, and I believe deeply in the importance of the teaching profession. And our profession is so very important. Now I'm going to put my environmental cap on and get a bit serious here. The fact is, we do find ourselves living in an age when the problems we shall face in the decades ahead can very well shape the course of our planet, our country, and our humanity. Whether these problems are social, environmental, economic, or otherwise, they're going to alter, most likely negatively, the way in which we live our lives today. Now, at first glance, this seems like a pretty hefty burden. But I hope upon closer inspection, each of you realizes what a rare and amazing opportunity this is. Few generations have the opportunity to say that they rewrote the course of history, that they created a new world order, or that they, when all is said and done, saved the world. This privilege, not burden, exists for our students, but only if they're made aware of it, and only if they choose to act upon it. And that is why our role as teachers is more critical than ever before. The agent for change, as it has always been, remains education, and it falls upon us to create this better future. We must provide our youth with the skills and confidence to tackle the issues in front of us, but more importantly, we must instill in our youth the desire to make these challenges their own. Now, this is something all teachers across the world must do. But as teachers in Westport, we carry an even greater responsibility than most. Now, I've often been asked by friends and family that if I really wanted to make a difference as a teacher, why didn't I go teach in Bridgeport as opposed to Westport? Now, while I certainly appreciate the importance of educating underprivileged students, my answer to them is always definitively that I chose Westport specifically because it is where I can make the largest impact. On Tuesday, you're going to stare into the faces of the very people who are most likely to become tomorrow's future leaders. Our future politicians, scientists, business owners, writers, performers, athletes, and teachers. The thing is, they don't quite realize this yet, but it is your job to help them realize how important a role they're going to play in our future. Many of these students actually see their lifelong goal to be attaining a life of leisure, but you must convince them otherwise. You must convince them that the hard and challenging life is a good life, that easy rarely accomplishes anything, and that challenging changes the world. But you must also believe this for yourself. This last year was undoubtedly my most stressful and challenging year yet, but it was also my most rewarding. If you're finding your teaching career to be easy, which isn't likely, but if you are, you might want to ask yourself what's wrong. Teaching should be fun. Teaching should be exhilarating, but if it isn't ultimately challenging, then you could be doing more. I hope all of you will take this next year to ask what more you can do to improve your profession, to shape your students, and to build a more promising future for all of us. I want to thank you so much for this incredible honor, and I wish all of you an inspiring year. And to Dr. Landon, as Mike the Mailman would say, nice shoes.